Hey, what's going on, guys? Bflattened here with a brand new video today. Today we're going to be talking about the differences between the Face Puncher and the Blade Fury. There's a lot of myths, a lot of misconceptions, and a lot of just inaccurate information that's going around between the two. Today I hope to solve all of those together in one by talking about all four different versions of them and their viability and uses that you can get out of all of them. So first things first, we're going to talk about the Face Puncher, because the Face Puncher gets a lot of hate since the Blade Fury came out. I don't think that's correct. I think the Face Puncher is still very, very good and very viable in many different scenarios. So there's two different versions. There's the ×7 version, and then there is the ×14 version. The differences between the two is obviously the pellet count, 7 and 14. One of them will consume more ammo than the other one, which is the 14 times Face Puncher. It'll consume 2 ammo, whereas the ×7 one will only consume 1. Now, this is huge because there are some builds that exist where the more that you fire your Face Puncher, the more that you're staying alive with lifesteal, whether it be like a knife drain, or actually just a knife drain. You just want to use, have that viability so that you can have the sustainability on your character, whichever one you're using. You can also get away with this with sustainment on Amara if you have a way of getting elemental damage through to your Face Puncher, like with Infusion. You'll be able to have that instead of like a knife drain instead. So the ×7 version has its uses for that. It also makes it so that the DPS is a little bit higher too, because you're consuming less ammo and also having a higher base damage. Over time, if you're shooting more with this Face Puncher, you technically get more damage out of it because you're reloading less. So the ×7 does have a lot of viability depending on your build. While we're talking about Amara, the ×14 Face Puncher also has viabilities, because there's also advantages over disadvantages too. Amara is a good specific example for this. If you use a skill called Body and Mind, Body and Mind is a ridiculous skill in this game. It is a kill skill that after you kill an enemy for a short amount of time, you have a centered in Nova that hits the enemy, and that Nova will be whatever your elemental action skill is. So if you have no augment on, it's shock. If you have whatever other element on and equipped, it'll be that element instead. It gets mayhem scaling, it gets action skill damage, it gets elemental damage, and obviously it triggers off of melee. So if you have a 14 times Face Puncher, that's 14 individual pellets. The 14 individual pellets will be 14 different melee attacks, which means 14 different explosions on that enemy. Also, a lot of people don't know this, but if you have Infusion spec'd with this, it doubles over, so that 14 times becomes 28 times. So you get 28 individual splash explosions on the enemy that you're hitting. Now, one other thing I forgot to mention between the two as well is this damage is assuming that all of your pellets hit. So 26 times 7 is assuming all of your pellets hit. 1825 times 14, assuming all your pellets hit. This will make it so that the ×7 usually will outdamage the ×14. The only way that the ×14 in Amara's specific cases here is if you're using Body and Mind. If you have accuracy related skills, so like Steady Hands, or if you're saying Mana Focus, this will make the reticle a little bit smaller, allowing your pellets to hit even more. So these two skills in specific are very, very good investments when you're using your Face Puncher. The Face Puncher has a lot of viability. It's still very, very good in most cases. Amara specifically is going to be a lot more beneficial for you, but you can use it on all characters because all characters have a melee version of them. All right, let's go ahead and dive into the Fury, or Blade Fury, I should say. There's a lot of talk with this as well. The big one is between the Masher and the Gatling. A lot of people see ×4 on the Masher and they're like, ooh, Masher, that means automatically good. Automatically good. I just had a voice crack there. Not always the case. In most cases, I actually prefer the Gatling version, because the Gatling version is a full auto version It will be a faster fire rate than your masher, and it also consumes only 1 ammo per shot. Now, the mag size will be different on both of them. One will have 30, one will have 20. The masher will consume 2 ammo per shot, but has higher mag size, of course, to counterbalance that. Whereas the Gatling version is full auto, consumes 1 ammo, and has 20 mag. The full auto usually gets better damage than the masher version does. You don't have to fire the trigger individually each time. You can hold down the trigger, and you can get excuse me, you can get the more DPS out of it as well. Again, the pellet count is assuming you hit all of your shots. If you've seen the knives and the bullets that come out of the Blade Fury, it's actually very wide, so you have to hit every single one in order for all that damage to count. Because of this, you're often doing less damage. Now, talking about Amara's body and mind skill earlier, the body and mind skill is actually going to be more preferred with the face puncher because you want more individual melee attacks. The masher version of the Blade Fury only has 4 versus the face puncher that has 14. The Blade Fury also does not do the infusion trick that we talked about earlier as well, that doubles it over to make it 28 times. That only works on the face puncher. It does not work on the Blade Fury. The Blade Fury is also heavily melee-sided instead of gun-sided. So if you were thinking about using this on a gun-related character, you're out of luck. It's a little bit more melee-sided than it is gun-sided. So keep that in mind as well. The thing that it is really, really good with is the fact that, pardon me, the fact that the Blade Fury actually works with indiscriminate on Amara. So what I mean by that is whenever you hit an enemy with indiscriminate, it actually will ricochet and copy itself over. It's not the melee that does it, it's the gun damage that does it off of the Blade Fury. What it'll do is that the gun damage will hit, it'll completely replicate the entire thing, including the knives, and then it'll redirect and ricochet towards another enemy. But it's only the gun damage that will do that, not the knives. So you gotta make sure the gun damage does that in order for that to happen. There's actually a photo that's been taken a couple of times on this. It's really hard to actually capture the real photo of it, but there's been a few attempts, and I'll probably throw them in here somewhere while I'm talking about this. Differences between the two? A lot. There's a lot of things to talk about between the two. 9 times out of 10, maybe 8 out of 10, because there is some uses out of the Blade Fury. 8 out of 9 times out of 10, your face puncher is probably going to do better in terms of melee instead of the Blade Fury. The Blade Fury is a nice hybrid weapon. I did say that it was more melee over gun, but there is a lot of uses for it. It can definitely be viable on every single character. In fact, I've made a character specifically for the Blade Fury that you guys can check out if you would like. I have melee modes, I have melee Zane, I have a melee Amara, of course, and I'm actually working on a melee Flak, which is this character right here. Both of them are still very, very good. Usually the face puncher is probably going to do more for you statistically and still viability wise. So to get rid of that myth there, usually the Blade Fury will not outdo the face puncher, even though the face puncher got a nerf a few times. Yeah, that's all I really wanted to talk about between the two. There is definitely a lot more between these things that I didn't include, but I think I covered all the main ones. I hope that this was a good teaching and learning experience for all of us, and have fun with both of these weapons because they both have a lot of viabilities on all characters. My name is Bflattened, and I'm signing on out of here. Take care, all. Laters.